A huge political row has erupted in India. A National Register of Citizens, or the NRC, has been released by the government of Assam, and some 4 million people are not in the list. They believe they have been stripped of citizenship. The Supreme Court of India has stopped the government from taking any coercive steps. Bangladesh's Information Minister told WION earlier that he would not comment until the Government of India opens a channel of communication on this subject. But our understanding, based on Minister Hassanul Haq, is that Bangladesh is not willing to take back refugees who crossed over into India in the 1970s. The ruling Bharatiya Janata Party says Congress government should have sent back the refugees after the formation of Bangladesh. Today, we show you that's what then Indian Prime Minister from Congress Party had promised when the crisis was at peak in the 1970s.
Something will have to be done. One thing I must say, that I am absolutely determined that all the refugees of all religions must go back. We are not going to absorb them in our population.
It's a complicated and divisive issue. Join us tonight on Gravitas and we'll tell you how there are no quick fix solutions to migrant and refugee crisis anywhere in the world. Facebook has said that it has uncovered a coordinated campaign to influence the upcoming midterm elections in the United States. The social network giant has said it removed 32 politically oriented fake accounts and pages from Facebook and Instagram due to what it called inauthentic behavior. The most popular fake accounts were Azlan Warriors, Black Elevation and Resistors. The fake accounts collectively created about 9,500 posts and were followed by 3 lakhs other Facebook pages. In other words, the pages seems to have got real traction. These pages were also creating events and trying to get people interested in them. Facebook said the suspect accounts had also run about 150 ads on Facebook and Instagram, costing a total of $11,000. One of the banned pages followed the modus operandi of Russian hackers during the presidential elections of 2016. Although the activity seems to be consistent with alleged Russian meddling in 2016 US presidential polls, Facebook has not yet identified who is behind these fake accounts, but has said whoever was operating the accounts went to great lengths to hide their identities. This included using virtual private network to hide their location and using third parties to run ads on behalf. The revelation comes a week after a company posted disastrous results because it told investors that new privacy regulations will eat into its growth. This time around, Facebook may have quashed a misinformation campaign before it apparently caused much harm. But analysts say the future is troubling because the latest campaign was more sophisticated than anything that came before. Also, the question remains as to know how big the problem is worldwide, if there was a political influence operation going on in the United States of America. What's the guarantee that it's not happening elsewhere, especially in countries like India, which is headed for poll next year? Earlier, we spoke to WION's correspondent, Harry Houghton from Washington, D.C.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Facebook trying to get on the front foot after the heavy criticism that it was receiving following its slow response to meddling in the 2016 election. It took a long time for Facebook to acknowledge that its platform might have been manipulated in any way to influence that election, and that it took even longer for Facebook to hand over data from its platform to US lawmakers and investigators. But US intelligence agencies have been saying for some time now that they believe that the upcoming US midterm elections, which are happening in November, US intelligence agencies believe that they will be targeted by hackers trying to influence the outcome of these elections. So Facebook clearly trying to say, look, we're on top of this. We have identified these pages and we've shut them down. And we're going to try and make sure that this time round, the influence on our election from any foreign actors trying to have an influence is minimal.
There's a lot of anger among the people in Southeast China's province. In an effort to preserve land resources, a policy has been introduced to ban anyone from burying their dead. Not only that, coffins are smashed and exhumed. This is a move which has taken place in order to preserve land. The move has stirred anger and resentment among the locals also. Even the state media is calling it barbaric. and unpopular. Under a zero burial policy introduced about 6 months ago, authorities in rural region of the Shaanxi province have waged war on the traditional practice. They are even going as far as to seize or destroy coffins that many poor families have spent their life saving up to buy. In photographs and videos shared on Chinese social media, officials were seen entering villages and forcibly removing coffins from people's homes. Residents who tried to prevent the destruction by lying inside the coffins were dragged away. The villagers also say that it took many years to save 5,000 yuan or $750 that the coffin actually cost. And I'm joined by Gaurav Sharma, journalist from Beijing. Gaurav, tell me why this zero burial policy has been effected in this province. Is it just purely land?
No, you have to see the provincial government in China's Jiangxi province has issued a diktat to people to cremate their dead, not to bury them. And since you have already said that this is being done under the zero burial policy, it's also because the land is very, very expensive, and actually people in China actually pay to buy the burial land. You know, if you see. It's in Beijing. If you want to bury your dead ones, you have to pay $1,500 for that space. In cities like Shanghai and other cities, like the cost goes from $4,000 to $6,000 to buy a two-cave a coffin and a space. So there is a question of space here, because the Chinese government actually needs space. It is also there to discourage extravagant burial ceremonies in China, because it's very interesting that there's a lot of people spend a lot on their burial ceremonies, and it's a kind of a diktat by the Chinese government, and people will have to obey this. Even though it's very interesting that the state media is calling it barbaric, if there's any change in the policy, that we will have to watch and see.
Gaurav, you're saying that you're pretty surprised even state media has taken a stand like that when, the Chinese government has taken an official position on it. But my question to you is that, is it only limited to this area because China is a large country, or other provinces are also in line to implement this? Why this particular area?
To be very frank, it will be difficult why this particular area, because the reports haven't said why this particular area has been taken. Maybe it would have been a pilot project, because this has been implemented only 6 months ago. They would have chosen Southeast China, the province of Jiangxi, or maybe once this is okay, they would like to implement it in other cities and other provinces also. But yes, there's nothing has come far in Beijing and Shanghai. People are still buying spaces for their dead ones.
Chinese smartphone maker Huawei has beaten tech giant Apple to become the second largest smartphone seller in the world. Apple has reported strong results, but the iPhone maker lost its position as the world #2 smartphone seller. It was the first time Apple had not been #1 or #2 smartphone company in terms of market share since the second quarter of 2010. Report says the Huawei shipped about 54.2 million handsets in the last quarter, registering a 41% growth, while Apple shipped about 41.3 million units, registering 0.7% growth. Samsung has remained the market leader in the second quarter, shipping out 71.5 million devices. One of the reasons for Huawei outselling Apple is its addition of more top-end features into the flagship smartphone. The Chinese smartphone maker has added 3 cameras on its iPro device. As a result, Huawei is getting increasing brand recognition in Europe and Asia that is allowing the company to challenge the likes of Samsung in many price tiers. Research firms attribute Huawei's performance for the quarter to success of its Honor brand. Huawei's Honor sub-brand accounted for 2/3 of the near 16 million jump that Huawei made this quarter. However, a majority of Huawei's sales growth has come from its smartphone shipment in China, where it grew its share of the home market by 6 percentage points on a year to a record 27%. The Chinese market is key for Huawei as it has come under fire from the United States, Australia and other nations over concerns it could facilitate Chinese government spying. The company has been virtually shut out from the United States with no major carrier selling its smartphone. And I'm joined by my colleague Sumit Chaturvedi from Newsroom. Sumit, tell me, is it the technology or is it the fact that the phone is cheaper than the Apple product that it has completely outshined its 2 competitors in sales?
Well, Karthika, it's the comeback of sorts for Huawei, which is the leading, we can say that, mobile phone manufacturer in the world. Now, it has clearly beaten Apple in second quarter to become the second largest smartphone seller in the whole world. Samsung is clearly the leader of this market. But there are many questions here as well. First of all, when we look at the markets, we look at the profitability as well. So becoming number one doesn't matter much if it is not profitable. So Huawei, in a way, we can say that, is spending a lot much on its marketing and sales and these advertisements, and that's why it may not be that profitable also. But yes, in numbers, it has overtaken Apple. And second, the overall, we can say that the results of the global trade wars are to set in now, because Huawei, a lot of shipments used to go to US, which will be stopped now. And here, Apple will also be stopped in China. Remember, the emotions are very much against the US and China. Earlier also, emotions have played a part when the car sales came down in China as far as the Korean brand were concerned, when North Korea and South Korea had tensions. So in a way, we can only say in the coming quarters what will happen when the yearly numbers will be out. But so far in a quarter, yes, Huawei has beaten Apple, but it's still to be seen whether it has beaten Apple in profitability or not. But yes, what has contributed to Huawei's better sales performance is two things. It's Honor brand of mobile phones, which have made a comeback, and it has contributed to 60% of its sales.
Why Honor? Why Honor? Anything specific to the product?
Well, it's a sub-brand, and Honor, Huawei actually had a brand problem earlier. It's more or less telecom equipment manufacturer. So people were not accepting its mobile phones. Then it came out with a sub-brand called Honor, which people accepted very well. Honor really could beat many other big mobile phone models, including iPhone models. So Honor has done wonders for Huawei, which was primarily a telecom equipment manufacturer, and that kind of image was tagging along with its identity. But now Honor has really done wonders for Huawei, and that's for sure.
In the bulletin, while hearing a bunch of petitions challenging the validity of the Section 497, which dictates that women cannot be punished for adultery, India's apex court, Supreme Court, observed that how could adultery be a crime if it violated right to equality? For the last 158 years, married women in India have been absolved from adultery charges. The apex court, which is Supreme Court of India, is hearing a PIL that challenged Section 497, calling it gender discriminatory, as it punishes married men for adultery and not women. While admitting the PIL, which is public interest litigation in the apex court, it said that it was time society realized men are equal to women in every aspect. Section 497 of the Indian Penal Code states that whoever has a relationship with a person and who is known or has reason to believe to be the wife of another man without the consent or connivance of that man, such union not amounting to the offence of rape is guilty of offence of adultery. That's the present Indian law. And the punishment could invite up to 5 years in prison along with a fine, and the court has been seized of the matter. Over 100 passengers had a miraculous escape after a plane crash minutes after takeoff in Mexico. 97 passengers and 4 crew members were on board when the plane crashed in Mexico's Durango city. More than 80 passengers were injured in the crash. 2 people, including the plane's pilot, are in critical condition. The plane took off during a severe storm, crashing in a nearby field before catching fire. Aeromexico said that they are currently working with authorities to provide medical attention to the people who were on board during the crash. Survivors of the crash said that they feel blessed.
Nuestro equipo de atención están allá junto con toda la gente para asistir, que eso es lo más importante. La prioridad ahorita es garantizar que todos los pasajeros estén bien, estén atendidos, los que requieran apoyo médico lo tengan, y eso es lo que estamos haciendo.
Fuerte explosión que impactó al avión. No sabemos si fue un rayo o un problema mecánico. Cuando íbamos un poco levantados.
Today's Google Doodle remembers the iconic Indian actress Meena Kumari on her 85th birth anniversary. Meena Kumari, dubbed as the tragedy queen of Indian cinema due to her several roles in the tragedy movies. Kumari made her debut in Bollywood at the age of 4. The award-winning actress starred in more than 90 films during her 3-decade-long career. Some of the Kumari's best-known movies include Pakiza, Sahib Bibi Aur Gulam and Parinita. Meena Kumari had a glorious career in a short lifetime. Soon after release of Pakiza, the tragedy queen fell ill seriously and passed away in 1972. But her legacy lives on.